and watch the whole entire show.
Let me play it first, then you see. I think you tried to explain more.
Alright, that technology of mine. Same time to come for the pattern, not check. Everything here, as you can see, right? See that? See that?
So from my understanding, Lovell, by the way, you can join in and explain. But from my understanding, you're using a USB is around 5 volts, right? S-
Alright,
So
that technology of mine.
let me.
Same time to come for the pattern, not check.
So from my understanding, it means you're turning 5 volts to 21. Did I post the video? What? You're trying to turn 5 volts to something like 21 volts. You can join in and explain more. Let me put on Lloyd.
Man, it's absolutely beautiful, man. It's absolutely beautiful. Like I say, the whole point is that you can make up your amps at the end. Don't even worry about it. What's coming from that USB is 5 volts, 1 amp. 5 volts, 1 amp. So yeah, he has the amps going through there. But he's getting 20, 21 volts. Okay. He's still getting amps from there. I don't care what you do. You're always going to have some amps, but it's probably micro amps. Okay. But the whole simple fact is that if you take your battery through your charge controller, put that device into the solar part, hook up your batteries, and take some jumper cables from the battery over to the uh, panels, which are two extra wires coming from that. Then the battery itself interjects amps into the charge controller, and that voltage at 20 watts plus the amps from the battery gives you what you need to charge the battery. And guess what? Anybody and everybody who's done the experiments and showed it, the battery starts to charge. Now, if you want to charge even better at higher efficiency, then you use the double negative P resistance that hides the solar from the battery as though they were separate because of that diode. And then all of a sudden, now you're really charging that battery because now you're using the milliamps from that solar and the voltage and the amps from the battery and the voltage, the 12 volts, all add up when you use the double negative P circuit. So you're really charging that. So this is what they're trying to destroy. They don't want you to do that. And you just proved the first part of the thing. The LED lights do run the solar. That's all that proves. And it's
So
putting out a nice, good voltage.
I
I
see
see
that his machine has he had shared a picture on the email. I see his machine can measure. It still can measure the digital multimeter. Still can measure the amperes. I mean the current, even the resistance. I think the current. Like I wish. Can you be able maybe to show us also on the live the other side? Like once you measure the current, we see the output. Lloyd said it might be in micro, but isn't microamps like? Will that be able to help anything? But for this person, you say that that's why you boost them. Mm. Like, can you be able to show us the current? If you can hear me, Love, you're saying that you're going to check it out. Check it out if you can be able to measure the current. Then we can easily calculate the power because you said that if your input is 5 volts and 1 ampere, it will be easy to calculate the energy in and we get the energy out. You're saying that it's milliamps. You believe it's milliamps. Uh, the main issue is the current, like Tech9 is talking about also. You can boost 5 volts to 20 volts, but you can't boost current from nothing. If voltage goes up, current goes down. Usually that's the case. If voltage goes up, usually current goes down. So let's wait and see. But he said he's going to show us, so let's wait and see. I just a minute. Let me unmute you then.
What he's saying is true, but what we're saying is that we use MOSFETs or the battery hack to get your current back. You're trying to divide the two, put it together, Chris. If you're getting voltage from this, and then you're getting amperage from either your MOSFET circuit or your battery, and you're interjecting that into the solar part with this solar right here, then you're getting your amps and you're getting your voltage. That's what we're trying to say. And see, they're trying to keep it separate and saying, what can you do with it? Just forget it. Don't use it. That's the play on words that they're trying to do. Is they're trying to take the whole thing apart, destroy it before you even put it together. I've said in my books, you only get voltage out of this. You're only getting voltage from this. So then I teach him how to get amps out of the system. So we show you all the techniques to put the amps back into the system. This is what they don't want you to know. Do you understand that part, Chris?
I understand, but we have this one from at my level we learned in 30 minutes. We have this one from 40 Supersonic saying that thinking in terms of voltage and amps is weak because the energy out is what matters. But 40 Supersonic, like the energy out, you find it using voltage and current. 40 Supersonic, I wish you to join one day and talk about these things. He never wants to join in. But yeah, by the way, I had a guy who reached out to me one day. Not one day, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. He reached out to me with a lot of materials on electricity and everything. He said, I want you to go through these things because every time you come live, you're talking about wrong units and you talk about power and you're talking about voltage and all that. So I went through all that. That's why I uh, but I know we did this in school also some time back. And I know that voltage, when you talk about energy in and energy out, you have to talk about the both of the units. I mean, you have to talk about current and voltage. You don't only talk about voltage alone. So Lovell said that he's going to check it out. I saw his meter, like he shared it. There's a picture, clear image than what we have here, and it shows you can be able to measure current with it. So I wish he can show us then. You see, even idea has gone silent the way he has started seeing this. So I wish he can share then we see also the current, and it will make ID to stop disturbing you more, mostly when you come live and talk about these things. Right now you can't see him. I think he's also trying to understand or to get in what is going on. But let me bring you back on, and maybe you talk about a few things, and as we wait for, I hope he comes back, that guy Lovell, to show us more before the live is supposed to end in about 30 minutes.
Okay, so here's the thing, Chris. I'm talking directly to you. If you learned in school that you need both and you don't divide it up, did they tell you that the amps must come from the same device as the voltage? Did they teach you that? Or they just say that both you have to get amps and voltage both together? Did they say what source that those amps and voltage come from? They never say this. So they didn't teach you in school that you have to get it from the same device. They never taught that. So how come I can't take it from two different devices? Can you answer that, Chris?
If I'm understanding you, you're saying that you get voltage from source A and you get current from source B. I see. Then volts and amps are important, but they're only part of the picture. You're on. You're on. You're on.
No, but see that you're saying it correct now because now all what he's doing now is that if he's getting his voltage and he can get extremely high voltage, then what matters is that if he can make up the current, if he can get a device that gives him the current off of this, then that device becomes very useful because it's compact, it's inside, and it's little, and therefore he can take each one of those devices and start counting by 20 or 21. Then all of a sudden you have your source that you can interject your amps from, and then all of a sudden this works. This is what they're trying to stop. So they're trying to keep, well, what that device, we know that that device is putting out microamps. We know that device. I'm telling you before he does it that it's going to put out microamps. And they go, see, stop using it. Again, you lose the whole thing, the idea of saying that you don't have to have the amps coming from the same source as you're getting the voltage from. You just have to have them both together when they go into the charge controller, amps and voltage. So you can get one from A and one from B. Nothing, no law says you can't do that. Yes, I know nothing about engineering, but set my system been working for 8 years in my system, and everybody says it works. So it's just that. Yeah, but one is microamps and the other one is 20 volts. We already know, and I said that earlier, that it's going to be some amps in that pack, but it's not going to be as high as a regular solar panel in the sun. So it's going to be much lower. So the whole point is that you have to make up those amps or currents. And what we're arguing is that do they have to come from that pack or can we divide it from and get our amps from another source and then combine them back together? That's what we're arguing.
So if I'm understanding you, you mean like, let's say is like for now the guy has been able to boost to amplify voltage now, and once he amplifies voltage, we know it's going to affect the current's going to go down. So you're saying that now you go to a separate system and now you boost current, and once you amplify current, we know it will affect voltage. But now you take the new system where you have the amplified voltage, and the other system where you have the amplified current, and now you put them together to now have something that makes more sense. um, but does that work? Like, let me put you on
You
that.
on that. Yeah, it works. Again, that's what we've been arguing about this whole time. This is what everybody's been doing on the channel. And they saying that it works because it does work. So guess what? The very battery in the charge controller that you're charging, you can get amps because you can split amps. Do you understand? In your house, you have so much amps is being pumped into your house, but it's split up through each one of the plugs that you use. When you plug in something, um, more than one thing into a light socket, it splits those amps up between those two devices. Okay. So you can split amps. Amps can go into two different directions for two different devices and still run and operate. So when you do that, and you say, wait a minute, if I take the amps from the battery and pump it over to this 20 volts of power and run them both through this charge controller, which doesn't let energy backflow, then you're going to be able to charge the battery at whatever amps it put out and the voltage. And the voltage becomes the regulator. That means the more voltage, the higher the power, because you got whatever the amps, which is what they call a pin. Um, it's like pinning something to a thing, so it's not going to move one way or another. But then the voltage is the variable, which means it goes up or it can go down. So because you can control that voltage, you're still getting more power because, like I said earlier, if you have two amps and you have 2 volts, you calculate that at a certain number. Without changing the amp side, you change the volts to 3, the power goes up. So that means the number is going to be higher. If you say 4, the number is going to go higher without moving the amps. And the more volts you can put in there, the more amps times volts equal it out is higher power. And that higher power is what charges the battery because you're pushing energy into it. Now, some people were just looping that just with the battery without the solar, and it says it's not moving. Well, 12 volts is not going to push into the 12-volt battery because at the battery terminal it's going to be just a tad higher than it is when you put it over to the solar charge controller on the solar part. But as soon as you add into that voltage in there, all of a sudden you change the whole scenario, and it does have enough energy to push into the battery, and you will see it start to charge. Now, like I said, you use the circuit that I told you to get even better results and better efficiency. So we haven't even talked about the more advanced circuit because they're not at that level. So they're having a tough time with this. And these are simple things, and I show you how simple it is. So if they're having trouble with this, you don't want to do something complicated because none of them are going to get it. But yes, put both of them together. It never said in any rule of physics that you can't have two different sources of amps and voltage that come from different sources, and then when you combine them, it doesn't work that way. There's nothing that says that. Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
like when you combine them now, how will you combine them? Because if let's say this other system you're coming in with a low voltage and you have high current, and now you have one system like the one which is showing it has high current, high voltage, but we know it will have low current. So when you combine them, you have to do, I know it means you have to do either series or parallel, or you'll have to use your way that you're talking about to combine them. Because if you use the normal series or parallel, again, you're going to affect one, which will either you affect voltage, you choose to affect voltage, or to mess with the current. So it means that the final output will still have an issue with either voltage, or you'll have to choose one to sacrifice either voltage or either voltage or current. Of course, you're not going to reduce it to zero, but it will be affected and it would be normal, which again will come into the concept of power in and power out still being around the same. And before you come in, this question, the guy from, I tried to call Lovel. I did not pick up. I think my number is strange, but I hope he's doing something in the background. Then ID was asking if we can start another live. I did like it's 4:15 right now. By the time this one ends, it will be 4:30 a.m. on my side. I'm pretty sure I'll be very sleepy. Unless if you're okay, I don't know if I can be able to add you in as a collaborator. I tried earlier on with Lloyd, or I can try it with Lloyd if I can be able to do somebody as a collaborator. Then it will reset afresh. The version that I use for now, I'm allowed to do a continuous live stream for up to 6 hours. After that, it resets automatically. So unless I do add somebody as a collaborator, then I can go and sleep and they will continue without any issue where they can be able to see comments, add people, and to do all that. It is easier when you are a collaborator than being a speaker. So maybe I try to do that idea. I don't know if it will work. But yeah, let me try to see that one, then maybe you can continue. But for me, I know I'll have to go to sleep so that I won't be very sleepy tomorrow during the day. But let me unmute Lloyd as I try to set it up, and I'm waiting for Lovell. I don't know if he'll respond.
Yeah. The again, um, you almost had it, Chris. Like I said, the once you add in the amps, all you have to do is just take the very battery in a charge controller, that same battery, take two jumper wires, and a jumper wire is just like you jump your car. You put separate wires onto the battery because they have their own cable. So you put that over to the solar part, and you put this solar device on there with the circuit. And you're right. If that battery wants to pull this down, that 20 volts down to 12 volts, that's why we do the circuit, the double negative P. So when you start to see that when you use that diode, that blocking diode, the battery cannot pull the voltage down from the solar. That means that you're getting the 20 volts. Once you do that, you now understand how this is working because you just said everything correctly. You just said everything correctly. Okay? So you're saying, "Oh, it's going to affect it." Okay, yeah. Now let's put in this circuit and see what happens. So that's how close you are to knowing what the truth is that you're one circuit away. There's just a diode and a bus bar. The battery goes above the diode, and the solar goes through the diode. So now they can't see each other. It doesn't pull down. And again, the whole point is that you can ask any engineer, any what's names, and they'll tell you that's what we use diodes for. Okay, that's what they use diode for. I just did what the scientists and all the other people, engineers, and used a blocking diode exactly how a blocking diode is supposed to work. And guess what? The circuit does work. So now you can now put the two together and it starts to work because you have your amps and your voltage and it's charging the battery. So again, until you guys listen to the people that's doing this, or you do it for yourself, guess what? You're all just guessing. They're just guessing. And it's simple. A little simple dial. And Chris, what you should do is take the pictures off of the WhatsApp and start putting them up like you're putting it up now to show the circuit and show people who built the circuit and says it's working. Okay? So when you do all this, all of a sudden, all this stuff starts to go away because guess what? This guy is doing the work. The rest of everybody else is basically just talking. And if you haven't done it and you're talking wrong about it, it's because you haven't done the work. And I can tell you exactly what he's doing there. Those are light pads, the stuff that you trace patterns and stuff. So you lay it over the light pad and you can trace stuff through the lights. So he's using those light pads, which can run on batteries or plug them in. And now he's running his solar panels and he's showing the voltage there, which I think is 43.6. It's a little small for me to see, but I think I see 43.6. So again, it's a way to run all those light pads using a jewel thief. So you don't even have to have the power from the battery that you're getting. You can take half that energy for all three of those panels, run it through a jewel thief, and um, it'll even run on lower panels. And that's what they call a step up. So again, you're right there, man. You're doing the work. Okay. You're proving that this technology was simple, easy, and
Lloyd,
anyone can do it. So you're
let,
you're right there.
let me see
So
if I can let me see if I can play his video. The guy seems to be very excited to share more about these things. That is Lovel. But Lovel doesn't want to share about current. But let me play it. There's this one which he just shared. I hope it is visible.
This is the coolest. Check that. Up, up, up. Yeah. This is the coolest. Check that. Up, up, up. Yeah.
So Lovel, my question is, you're still getting this from the 5 volts. 5 volts. Give you about 15 minutes. You can check. I've sent that, what do we call it? I'm forgetting the name. The collaboration link, we just agree on it. Then once this one ends, I can create a new one and to see. But yeah, this Lovel Royal seems to be very excited about this, and I wish he could share more. I mean, you can come on and talk more about it. But again, this is the same 5 volts, 1 ampere that is giving you all this. I'd like to know, but let me unmute Lloyd.
Did you hear me say it works on those things work on batteries?
No, no, no.
Okay. I said those work on batteries, so he's not even that is, and you have to ask him what size battery it is, but it's 1.5 volts in the batteries. And then I said to use a jewel thief to cut down on the battery power, so you don't even need the battery power. So you can step up from a source, which you can take and run all three of those from 5 volts 1 amp, splitting that up into three. But the whole simple, we keep telling you, Chris, that the voltage and getting your amps from somewhere else is possible. So he's just proving the point that he's getting the voltage. So the simple fact is that when you start using it and getting your amps from how I'm telling you is until you do that, you're going to be kind of stuck because you keep saying, well, it's not giving amps until you see that where we're getting our amps from. So what you can do is ask him, can he put these videos that he gave and put them on WhatsApp for the community to see?
The the videos are on WhatsApp. I'm getting them from WhatsApp. Only the first two he sent to my email, but all these others are on WhatsApp. He's sharing on WhatsApp. He joined the group some time back. But all the videos are on WhatsApp, so in case you want to share them more. But they're the same videos that we've just shared here. And I think in more days you'll be sharing more.
That's good because that means he's doing the work. He's not guessing. He's doing the work. He's sharing the work. And that's what the people who buy my books, that's what they do. And that's the reason why I'm getting so high of people participating in the book campaign that I'm putting out there. Okay. So it may make them mad, but they're not mad because it doesn't work. They're mad is because it does work. That's why they're upset. That's the reason why that they don't want this technology out there. And that's why he's excited because the simple fact is as soon as he hooks his charge controller and get the amps from his batteries, it's going to be running. And he knows it's going to be running. So yes, he has something to be excited about. And a whole lot of other people are going to be excited that it actually works the way I say it works. You can't divide the two. You can't take half the system and say, oh, it doesn't work. That's what they want you to do. But when you do the whole system in exactly the way I say it in the books and bring those two things together, you're going to see that it works. And then you're going to learn that the MOSFETs work even better. And they hate this. But this technology is coming out. People are being woke up. Remember, Republicans hate woke people. They want you sleep. They want you dumb. Republican hate woke. They even changed the definition of what woke means. It just means that you are awake and unaware of the situation that you're in. So they hate that. But guess what? Every day somebody does those demonstrations and they learn how to do what I'm telling them to do. They get woke up.
He's saying that, hey, ID, please check on your side. What do we call it? There's a pending thing in your email. You have to accept it. then it will allow you to be a collaborator, and I can bring you in the next one. So I've already gotten an I've already gotten a notification that is in about 3 minutes. In about 3 minutes, we're going to be off. So I'll try to restart a new one. I think it will take me something like 5 minutes or so to set up a new one. Then we continue. If you're just around, just stick around and we'll continue. I think ID had some things to say. And also, Lovell, I think you have more to share with us. We like to see more, maybe